Well, what on earth is going on? Donald Trump has just declared a national emergency, and I believe the implications for this particular declaration are going to be huge. In fact, with all the tension here at home, it seems like we're already potentially looking at an internal war. Hopefully not. But there could also be bigger implications of an external war with this new national emergency that's been declared. I've got a lot to share with you, so please hang with me. But as a quick reminder, please make sure you're subbed to the channel. YouTube is not sharing these videos. Please make sure you are subscribed and have that bell button check. Otherwise, you'll never get them. In fact, there's people telling me they get my videos once a year or every other year. It's insane. But please make sure to check daily. Share this video with everyone you know. Hit that like button and subscribe. But let's start first with what on earth is going on in Iran, because this is important and it is going to lead me to the national emergency he just declared. This is on Euronews.com, and it's Trump announces massive United States armada headed towards Iran, warning Tehran to negotiate. The wave of protests in Iran, which broke out on the 28th of December over the collapse of the rial currency and the rising cost of living, saw between 6,000 and 30,000 people, big gap there, feared killed by the regime. Donald Trump has sent a massive armada heading towards Iran, warning Tehran it should negotiate amid threats of possible U.S. military strike on the country. It's moving quickly with great power, enthusiasm, and purpose, Trump wrote in a post on his Truth Social platform without giving further details of its mission. But hopefully, he says, Iran will quickly come to the table and negotiate a fair and equitable deal. No nuclear weapons. One that is good for all parties. Now, Washington had moved the USS Abraham Lincoln and several guided missile destroyers into the region, which can be used to launch attacks from the sea. This is a bold move. Look, I'm pissed off that many people have died in Iran at this point. It's a very terrible thing that is going on in that country, but Donald Trump is responding, and he is sending the destroyers there, and he's got them surrounded, if you will. Tensions are flying, by the way, with Iran. There's also this, keeping you up to date. This is on Al Jazeera. Iran preps for war as U.S. military armada approaches. So basically, Iran authorities have signaled that they are ready to defend their country as the U.S. continues to threaten a military strike amid diplomatic efforts to avoid a conflict. Basically, he's met with other leaders and they're building up their own military there within Iran. In fact, take a look at this. Trump doubles down on Iran threat as U.S. puts more sanctions, and basically we put more sanctions on Iran specifically. The U.S. Treasury Department has imposed new sanctions on 7 Iran nationals and 1 entity, according to an update from the U.S. Treasury Department's website. And Iran, on the other side of it, right, has threatened to instantly strike our U.S. bases and aircraft carriers in response to any attack. So bang, things are boiling over and things are not looking good when it comes to an international scale. And right now, there are lots of tensions between the U.S. and Iran. And Iran even has a, shall we say, a kill list out on Donald J. Trump. They've sent out their people there, or their militias, if you will. But anyway, tensions are rising. But with all of that, what's interesting is Trump just yesterday, midday yesterday, issued a brand new national emergency. And this time, he's issued it for Cuba, which makes my alarm bells go up a little bit because we haven't heard a lot going on with Cuba. But here it is on the White House. And again, this was published yesterday by the authority vested in me, the President of the Constitution of the United States, blah, 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 blah. I hereby determine this order. Section 1, a national emergency. As President of the U.S., I have an imperative duty to protect the national security and foreign policy of this country. I find that the policies, practices, and actions of the government of Cuba constitute an unusual and extraordinary threat, which has its source in whole or substantial part out of the U.S. to the national security and foreign policy of the U.S. So he has literally declared a national emergency over Cuba. Now, to get down to why he has done this, right? This is what he says on whitehouse.gov. The government of Cuba has taken extraordinary actions that harm and threaten the United States. The regime aligns itself with and provides support for numerous hostile countries, transnational terrorist groups, malign actors adverse to the United States, including the government of the Russia Federation, the People's Republic of China, the government of Iran, Hamas, and Hezbollah, where we're seeing a lot of action currently, right? For example, Cuba blatantly hosts dangerous adversaries to the U.S., inviting them to base sophisticated military and intelligence capabilities in Cuba that directly threaten the national security of the U.S. Cuba hosts Russia's largest overseas signals intelligence facility, which tries to steal sensitive national security information from the U.S. Cuba continues to build deep intelligence and defense cooperation with the PRC, People's Republic of China. Cuba welcomes transnational terrorist groups such as Hezbollah and Hamas, creating a safe environment for those malign groups so that these transnational terrorist groups can build economy, culture, and security ties throughout the region and attempt to destabilize the Western Hemisphere, including the United States of America. And they're also attempting to thwart the U.S. and international sanctions designed to enforce the stability of the region and uphold rule of law. So in other words, they are thwarting the United States' efforts here. They are thwarting our plans, and they are aiding and abetting hostile countries to the U.S. These are some pretty big claims, and it just scratches the surface. In fact, he even talks about the political harassment that is happening to dissidents in their countries just for opposing the regime there. The communist regime persecutes and tortures its political opponents, denies Cuban people free speech and free press, corrupt profits from their misery, and commits other human right violations. For example, families of political prisoners face retaliation for peaceful protesting the improper confinement of their loved ones. Cuban authorities harass worshipers, block free association by civil society organizations, and prohibit free speech. And they're denied the ability to speak freely, including on the internet, which, by the way, once we get a Democrat in charge, I believe all of that and more is coming right here to the United States of America. And this, I think, is one of the reasons that Donald Trump is definitely declaring a national emergency, because, hey, their people are being suppressed massively, and they're already doing this on platforms like Google, here with channels like mine. They are highly doing that in a lot of places all over the globe. And in Cuba, this is one of the worst. So therefore, President of the United States of America, with respect to Cuba's unusual and extraordinary threat, right? He issues this national emergency. And here's the stuff that he's going to impose on him. He's going to impose tariffs, right, on the country. And then he gives himself some room. He can modify it if he wants, but he's going to have people who monitor it and recommend, and then people who delegate, yada, yada, and the whole nine yards. So he has actually put repercussions on the country as a result to this declaration. Trump is threatening tariffs on countries that also sell oil to Cuba. So there you go. So if anybody's selling certain things, aka oil, maybe that could be because of Venezuela. They've got a long relationship with Venezuela, or maybe it could even be with, I don't know. Sorry about the dings there. It could even be with Iran. So hey, here we are. What on earth? I think Donald Trump. I think there's more to the story going on than what we all know. But anyway, Donald Trump is on it. I'd love to get your thoughts, comments, and concerns. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.